so I finally got to do predictions. I am cornered now. I have no choice. I have to do WrestleMania predictions, and for some of these matches, I have absolutely no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my best though. So let's start with night one. Lana and Naomi versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus the Riot Squad versus Natalya and Tamina. Number one contenders match, Gauntlet. Okay, I talked about this night one card and how Lashley and McIntyre are going to start the show. I talked about that in my SmackDown review. I'm not going to talk about it here. So I'm just reading it off the card as it's listed wherever I found it. And I'm not even looking at the website. So I believe Natalya and Tamina are going to win this match and then ultimately win the tag team titles. That's my guess. Now, I've said repeatedly that Natalya and Tamina are essentially the same team as Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. It's like an inverted mirror, right? I talk a lot about the mirror archetype that, or the double, but that's basically what this is. Natalya and Tamina are the mirror of Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. Two smaller, but technically proficient, technical wrestlers in Natalya and Shayna Baszler. Baszler is a little bit more rough around the edges. Natalya is more traditionally beautiful, buxom as well, blonde as well. Where you have the big Pacific Islander, Tamina is Fijian, Nia Jax is Samoan, but they're the big bruiser of their team, not really the worker, the powerhouse, to put it like that. But it's essentially the same goddamn team. And I don't see, and they've been building up Natalya and Tamina for a while now, so I don't see why to curb them now. And I know, yes, they did build up Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose for a long time, and then they shit on them. Yeah, they kind of did build up Lana and Naomi as well, and then shit on them as well. If I was to have my druthers, if I was to wave my magic wand and pick a team to win, it would be the Riot Squad, and they win the tag team titles because they should have been won them. But I don't get to make those decisions. I'm only looking at the booking decisions. And the booking is telling me Natalya and Tamina are gaining momentum for a reason. And that's the reason is they're about to take over this tag team division and beat the shit out of everybody. So, okay, cool. All right, whatever. Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. This is going to be our work rate match. This is different because there's nothing on the line. There's no stakes, right? There's nothing happens if Cesaro wins. There's nothing happen if he loses. Rollins wins nothing, loses nothing. So I think because there's nothing to be gained or lost here, Cesaro is going to win. And of course, ultimately, when there's nothing to be gained or lost, you do have to question, does the win or the loss actually even matter? This is all about the moment. This is about, giving Cesaro something because of all of his years and years of hard work, 9 years in WWE. He's going to go out there and probably swing Seth Rollins 48 times. They're both going to puke and maybe, it's going to be crazy, but this ought to be a great match. It ought to be really fun from bell to bell. It ought to be fantastic. Looking forward to this one. This is our work rate match. Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon inside of a steel cage. Shane McMahon, this has been the worst storyline in WWE. It's been one of the worst storylines in wrestling. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Well, no, because Impact exists. I was about to say this has been the worst storyline in wrestling, but I forgot Impact exists. And whatever the worst is more likely to take place in Impact. I just don't want to think about Impact right now. But this has been very bad. This has been really bad. From the choo-choo train noises to the Braun to Jackson Riker and Elias being involved. It has just been absolute shit. From top to bottom, shit. But I think, and I've been holding on this hope for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe even 2 or 3 months. I think this is where we get Dabba-Kato comes back. I think this is a perfect time to re-debut Dabba-Kato as the guy who helps Shane McMahon wins this match. And then we can go back to the Braun is stupid. He locked himself in the cage with Shane McMahon, and Shane, of course, being smart, has a giant of his own on his side, and Shane's giant is going to take out Braun Strowman. And, but this story has so much potential, and it could have been so much fun if it was about Raw Underground, but it's not. It's about whatever the fuck. It's stupid. But I'm going to go with Shane McMahon. I'm going to say Shane's going to have a lot of outside help that's going to help him win. And it's going to introduce somebody for Braun to fight. Because I don't see how this can be competitive at all with Braun and Shane just locked in the cage with each other. That's just going to be Braun throwing Shane against the cage 100 times. That's going to get boring 2 or 3 minutes in. So it's going to have to be a lot of people outside the ring trying to get in and Braun fighting them off. Going to have to be some weapons and stuff. So, but this ought to be fun. Shane can make it fun. He's probably going to jump off the cage at one point. I think that's probably the reason why there is a cage, so Shane can jump off of it. So, but the only chance we got here is if Shane jumps off the cage, which is inevitable, and if somebody like Dabba-Kato was to, show up to help Shane win. Otherwise, this is going to be dreadful. I'm trusting Shane McMahon on this one. I'm trusting you, Shane. Don't let me down. All right, so the tag team championship, Raw tag team titles, the New Day versus Omos and AJ Styles. I think this match is only on this show, so we can see what Omos can do, and therefore I think Omos has to win. I think, he's probably going to do the old Great Khali foot on the chest finish, where he probably picks up Kofi and does like a 2-hand choke slam or something like that. It'd probably be Xavier Woods, if we're being honest. It'd probably be like and then he does like what was it? Like, I think, didn't Albert do that move too? It's like not a sky high, but it's like a 2-hand choke slam. I think that'll probably be Omos's finish. Like, they'll probably do some weird booking where AJ is in the ring 90% of the time, and as soon as Omos gets tagged in, he grabs somebody, probably throws and knocks their heads together, picks up Xavier Woods, and then kind of does that, put foot on the chest, and that's it, But obviously, Omos and AJ Styles are going to win. There's no reason for them not to win. So, Omos and AJ Styles are going to win. Bad Bunny and Damien Priest versus The Miz and John Morrison. Obviously, Bad Bunny and Damien Priest are going to win this match. It's going to consist mostly of probably Bad Bunny selling and getting beaten up, or Damien Priest getting beaten up and Bad Bunny outside the ring. I do believe Damien Priest will probably be doing most of the in-ring work, and they may do. It would really suck, though, for them to do a hot tag to Bad Bunny. That would be weird. Okay, that would get real weird real fast. But I think that might be the best way to work the match, is for Bad Bunny to get a short spurt of offense in after a hot tag, and he can bump the heels a couple of times and then tag back out, as opposed to him being the babyface in peril. But this is a big match for Damien Priest. This guy's been on Raw less than a year. He's actually been on there for like 90 days or something like that, maybe 100, since the Royal Rumble. And he's in a major spotlight at WrestleMania with a former WWE champion and a great talent like John Morrison. I expect Damien Priest and John Morrison to mix it up, and for that to actually be very good. Like I said, this is going to be a thunder and lightning match. Morrison and Priest are the lightning. They're going to have to go in there and be flashy. They're going to have to do flips and all kinds of shit, and to make this thing interesting. While The Miz is just going to have to go in there and get heat, and Bad Bunny's going to have to go in there and do just whatever he can, as little of it as he can do, safely, without hurting and killing anybody, or killing himself, or breaking his own neck, or anything like that. And they can do the Rumble. They can do the Thunder. They're going to be the ones that let everybody, know what's going on, and let the other guys do the work. So this ought to be, it should be fun, because The Miz knows how to work fun, but I'm not looking forward to this. I'm only looking forward to Damien Priest actually somebody talking about him now that he's been on the roster. So that'll be cool. The WWE Championship, the match opener, Bob Lashley, the Almighty, versus the Scottish Warrior, Drew McIntyre. And I do believe Drew McIntyre is going to win the title back. I know that all of us are big fans of the Almighty. We love Bob Lashley. But it's unfortunate that he was in this position where he's just in this spot to give Drew the belt back. He was built up to be the big bad because the monster has to be slain. That's the warrior archetype. The warrior archetype, the warrior journey is that they're overthrowing the monster. Always. Drew did it with Brock. He overthrew the monster. He did it with Goldberg. He overthrew the monster. Now he's got to do it again with Bobby Lashley. And it sucks for Bobby Lashley because he worked very, very hard to get in this position. And he's only going to be champion for like, 40 some odd days, maybe 50. Actually, it might have been a little bit longer. I don't know, but it ain't been long. It ain't been that long at all. Now some people say, oh, he's a transitional champion. Like, well, no, Miz is a transitional champion. This was the storyline in game. Anyway, they have been building up Lashley for months with him wrecking people in the United States Championship division, him just tossing guys around, just breaking them. And then the moment he gets the big title, it's not that he stopped breaking guys. He still breaks people. But he's not going to be champion that long because WrestleMania is right around the corner. I do believe they should have gave Bobby Lashley the title at the Royal Rumble or before it. That way we could have had that Hurt Business run, and except for they did that bullshit where they broke him up. I'm sure they broke up the Hurt Business because they want Lashley to get booed. That was the point, I believe. I believe the point was they wanted Lashley to get booed. They didn't want the Hurt Business, who everybody liked, to go into WrestleMania with too much, momentum. And instead, we're going to go in there with heat. Of course, it's not going to work because people don't have a reason to not like Lashley. And there's going to be a lot of people there who are going to hate McIntyre because he's a white meat babyface who cuts jokes. It's not going to work out. If by hook or crook, Bobby Lashley wins this match, I would be incredibly happy. But Drew wanting to go first, and then the match being put on first, and we know that they've been trying to coronate Drew. They tried it with no crowd. It was like, okay, we didn't really get that much. They did it again with the Thunderdome. That was better. But, this time it's going to be an actual real people in the crowd. And now I think they're going to not get the reaction that they want. Because they shoved Drew down so much with how he was, I think it's going to backfire on them this time. And then the idea of the guy winning the title 3 times in 1 calendar year is ridiculous. Right? I mean, it's just the idea that, the guy's WWE champion, wins it last year at WrestleMania. Then he lost it, won it right back, and then wins it back again at WrestleMania. That's 3 times in 1 calendar year. People are going to regurgitate Drew McIntyre. And I like Drew McIntyre. And unlike other people, I don't want to see Drew McIntyre fail. I'm just being real. And being real is there's people who are too into Lashley right now. Right? And they took away the Hurt Business to make him less cool. Because cool heels makes it difficult for the babyface. And that will show when they get in front of a crowd. And probably most of the crowd is going to be for Lashley. Unfortunate. But I still think Drew McIntyre is going to win the title. All right, so the main event of night 1. Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. Now, a lot of people seem to believe that Sasha Banks is going to win this match. I don't see any reason why that would happen. Even if you don't think, you can say whatever you want about Bianca Belair. She's not ready. She sucks. Blah, 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 blah. Putting her in the main event of this show to lose is probably not. I mean, look, if the match is really, really good, she can get over losing. But the match has to be really fucking good for her to get over in a loss, because she's going to have every conceivable advantage over Sasha Banks. She's bigger, she's stronger, she's faster. She's not going to be as experienced, or maybe not as technically proficient. So maybe that's, but she's got pretty much everything else on Sasha Banks. To be quite honest, Sasha has been champion long enough where she can crown Bianca Belair right now. But here's the question. If Sasha Banks beats Bianca Belair, who's next? Who's next? You bring somebody up from NXT and then do what? Start all over again? We start this whole ordeal all over again. There's no Royal Rumble for them to win. There's no tournaments for them to win. How are you going to build up somebody else to win the title from Sasha? Or are we just going to have Sasha with a death grip on the belt? She's going to be champion forever? I don't see how that's going to... She's been champion since what, October? So she's been champion for a long time already. Sasha Banks is okay losing this match. And if it flops, it flops. I don't see any reason for Sasha Banks to win this match. I don't see any reason for it to happen. That doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. I just don't see any reason why it would. I don't see anybody sitting down, coming up with this idea where we're going to make this girl look virtually unstoppable. She did lose a match, and I think she lost some tag team matches, which is stupid. But in singles competition, she's been looking pretty dominant. She's been crushing people for the most part. And now we're going to put her in the ring with Sasha, and Sasha's just going to beat her. Because it's kind of like, why would you? I don't see why you would do that. Plus, this is the main event of WrestleMania. If it was fourth match, third match, maybe. But the main event to close the show, I don't see Bianca losing. I'm going to go ahead and go with Bianca Belair. It's entirely possible that they could, because they are so far up Sasha Banks' ass, it is possible that she could, they could just decide that she's going to go over. But I don't see it. I don't think they would want to damage the work they put in with Bianca Belair so badly. I don't see, and I think if they did do it, they would really hope they hadn't. Probably the next morning. I can put it to you like that. If they do it by 10 o'clock the next morning, they will probably be like, damn, that was a mistake. So night 2, Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus the winners of the tag team turmoil, which I already said would be Natalya and Tamina, and I do believe Natalya and Tamina will win the tag team championship. Riddle versus Sheamus for the WWE United States title. All right, so Sheamus does not need to be the United States champion. Riddle does. So that alone says that Riddle probably should be the United States champion and should maintain the United States title. This ought to be really good. Both of these guys are very physical. They're great workers. The personalities are... The personality that they have for Riddle is shit, where he's basically just an idiot. They keep trying to recreate guys from before. I don't know, like I'm not under any illusions that everybody listens to everything that I do. So I have to repeat myself sometimes. So I'm going to say it again here. They're trying to turn Riddle and Chad Gable into Kurt Angle. They have the basic settlements as far as the foundation. They have the MMA true wrestling background. Now they're trying to find a way to put the personality together. But the only personality in WWE is either you're serious as hell to the point of being boring, or you're a goddamn clown. And so they put their hand in the hat with only 2 pieces of paper in it and pulled out fucking clown for Matt Riddle. So that's what he is. He's a fucking clown. Because that's what Kurt Angle was. Kurt Angle was a clown. That kind of makes me wish that certain things never worked. Because WWE tends to fall into these same, they're trying to recreate Hogan or trying to recreate this guy or recreate that guy. It's like, that's never going to work. It's never going to work. So it's just, it's sad that they tried to get Riddle to do. He's funny. He's doing it the best that he can, but his in-ring work speaks for itself. He's physical, but that personality and him just walking around on scooters and stuff is dumb as shit. And it's childish with the fucking birds and everything. The birds are the worst. The shit is awful. All right, match 3. Kevin Owens with Sami Zayn with Logan Paul. I think, of course, this is all set up for Sami Zayn to lose and then to continue his conspiracy. It's a conspiracy that Logan Paul is against him. Kevin Owens is against him. The WWE, the referees were against him. Everyone is against him. I want to know when they're going to release the documentary. Hopefully they release the documentary at WrestleMania. And it's not, it's basically like a short documentary. That would be fun, I expect, of course, a good work rate match from these two guys, but there's going to be some Logan Paul involvement. What I think is he going to do is basically just going to be outside the ring for a little while. He may come into the ring and do a little something, may throw a clothesline, may throw a punch or something. But I don't expect him to do too much. He's got a fight coming up. So I don't expect him to take a power bomb or anything like that. That ought to be pretty simple. Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship in a Nigerian drum fight. I don't know what that is. I am interested. It could only be weird if I have no idea what it is. It's like I said, as long as it's not, we show up and it's some Nightmare on Elm Street type of bullshit with pumpkins and drums and stuff like that. As long as there's no shit like that, man, it ought to be okay. Now, if it's going to be maybe some guys playing the drums and it's a street fight, but it's some guys playing drums on the outside, I think that's interesting because I think Asuka and Meiko Satomura had that kind of match where it was just them on a flat space. There was it was a ring with no ropes. It was just a flat space. I don't know if anybody is familiar with Gato Move, but they wrestle on a flat space. They don't have a ring, right? It's like a mat, like a wrestling mat. And Satomura and Asuka had a hell of a match on this mat. And it was just like very rhythmic Japanese drums in the background. There was no commentary, nothing. It was just really atmospheric. And it was awesome. It was really good. I'm not under any illusions WWE is going to do something like that. I'm just saying if it was going to be something like that, it might be fun. But they was also working a very physical style with heavy strikes and stuff like that, where these guys are probably going to go in there and hit each other with chairs. Because why not? We didn't get enough of that on TakeOver, so we're going to have to hit each other with chairs again. But I expect Apollo Crews to win the title here. I know Big E is in his hometown. We made a big ado about him, how much he's a Tampa boy. We made a big ado about that. But I think if that Crews has put everything together and that we're ready. Like we're ready for Crews to win the title here. And to, finally move into the next step of his evolution and his character and take him to the next level. It's like we took Big E to the next level. I think it's time to take Apollo Crews to the next level. Now, we are going to get a Wale performance for Big E. He's going to perform the theme song that he wrote for Big E. So that could be, a sign that he's going to win. Like I say, live performance is a pretty good sign that you're going to win. But at the same time, what do you do if he beats Apollo Crews again? That means Apollo Crews went like 0-4 in this entire feud, and it's worthless. Not saying that WWE is not capable of doing that, but I just don't see the purpose in it. I just don't see the purpose in making the guy completely worthless like that. Him having lose the entire feud, lose every match in the feud, and then lose his supposed match of choice, which is the Nigerian drum fight. So I think it's interesting that, and I've talked about this before about the mirror, that how Big E and Apollo Crews have been two sides of the same coin. Well, not exactly two sides of the same coin. They've been reflections of each other. And while Big E has the home field advantage, Apollo Crews also kind of has the home field advantage because this is going to be his specific type of match. So this ought to be interesting. This ought to be fun. So I want Crews to win. I want Crews to win the title. Perhaps Big E can go on to something else. Perhaps. The Fiend versus Randy Orton. I'm surprised this match is not gimmicked in any way. It's not like a Hell in a Cell match or something like that. I'm definitely surprised. But this match probably will be 5 minutes of like the Fiend just destroying Randy Orton. If it's anything else, if it's longer than 5 minutes, they're fucking up. This is going to be the match where it's going to be smoke and mirrors, and the Fiend's going to do like 4 moves and win. And that's what it needs to be. The Fiend needs to win convincingly, and maybe in a way where Randy Orton is carried out by druids or thrown in a casket or something like that. And they could have done something cool, like made this a casket match or something, maybe. But this just been a straight up one-on-one match. This basically tells me that it's essentially going to be a squash of Randy Orton. It's not going to be a Firefly Funhouse match, which everyone thought it would be. So this is going to be a squash match. The Fiend should just crush Randy Orton. Randy Orton doesn't lose anything if he loses in 3 minutes to the Fiend. He doesn't lose anything. He's still Randy Orton. He be Randy Orton. He's rubber. He's elastic. You can Mark Henry beat him, Jinder Mahal beat him. He's still Randy Orton. Doesn't matter. When you're on that level, these things don't matter, right? It's time for Randy to start making guys like John before he left. John Cena had to make guys. And I think it's time for Randy to do it. And I think the Fiend is probably the first guy for Randy's going to actually put him over, like in a serious way. The next match, Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the WWE Raw Women's title. And I think this match is obviously just going to be Rhea Ripley winning. I would not be surprised if this match didn't start the show, start night 2. Because why not start night 2 with a big title change and welcome people back into the show and say, boom, we're starting something. We're going virgin crowd. We go in, it's 25,000 people that are different this time. And or at least it should be the different people. Heaven forbid if it's the same people. Anyway, I say, obviously, Rhea Ripley has to win the title. It would do wonders for Asuka's legacy if she did win, because then we could actually most people, I think, in 10 years will probably forget that Asuka was a absolute dog shit champion that got beat every week and got her face broken and was not booked half the time. If she won this match, most people would go back and not remember that she was booked like shit up until this match. Most people will be like, oh, Asuka won. I mean, she was a badass. She was great. But if she loses, then Rhea Ripley looks great. And I think you build for the future. I think this is a WrestleMania where you pivot towards the future. You pivot towards some of your bigger stars now. And I think Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair are 2 of them. You don't really have any new stars as far as men in these spots, because they didn't want to take any chances with the men, or maybe because there might have been with maybe Keith Lee being injured or sick or whatever he is not going to be able to make it in this situation. But we're in a position where we're trying to start making new stars. Asuka has hit a point where we're kind of like, she needs to transition out of this role. And I think Charlotte is next, because she did get bumped from this spot. then yeah, I'm going to go with Rhea Ripley. And the main event, well, before we get into the main event, let's talk about some surprises. There was some talk about Becky Lynch sending out cryptic messages that she will be showing up on night one. Do I believe that will happen? Yes, I do believe. I believe Becky Lynch and Bayley will somehow face come face to face in some way on night one. They'll probably do a ding dong segment where she's going to have a special guest, and it's going to be Becky Lynch, and maybe it's going to be Becky Lynch and Bayley going back and forth verbally. Maybe they'll do something where they throw Charlotte in there. There's also some talk about Ronda Rousey. I definitely think that if there's going to be a Ronda Rousey or a Becky Lynch appearance, not saying a match, but an appearance, it will be on one of these two shows. And more likely it's going to be on night one. And I think they're going to save some special stuff for night two. But I definitely think they're going to be on night one. Because they're going to want to, sell something. I've seen people talk about, they could set up Ronda and Becky for next year's WrestleMania, like The Rock and John Cena. I'm like, man, that only worked because it was The Rock and John Cena. Okay? I don't think Becky and Ronda is going to be selling tickets for a year in advance. I don't think they're that big of stars. Okay? But can you say that that they have a run in and at this show where maybe, Ronda appears and she makes some statements, and you have this one big ding dong hello segment where it's basically Bayley and Charlotte and Becky and Ronda, all the big women who are not booked on the show, all do this gigantic segment. It's entirely possible. I think that would probably be fun. That would be cool. Night two kind of surprises. Nobody's kind of teasing to do anything on night two. But I'm pretty sure they'll have something, in the way of surprises. I'm also thinking that you're probably gonna see the Bella Twins at some point on one of these shows, and I'm thinking maybe it'll be night two where maybe the Bella Twins will be like a surprise in the Turmoil match, like the Hardy Boys were a surprise that one year for the tag team titles. Maybe you'll have the Bella Twins as a surprise for night one. No, I don't believe that though, because they both just had kids, so probably not. They still have small babies, so probably not. That's also why I don't think Becky Lynch is going to be ready to wrestle. But I do believe they'll do some type of scrum where they're going to bring out people who can't really wrestle and are not booked to do some type of segment. And then maybe you'll have on night two, whoever is going to be on Raw, maybe you just start to have those people come out and do something. There'll probably be another little promo segment or something like that for night two, where you're introducing different people and different people doing different things. I expect some surprises. I don't know what it would be because I have no idea what to expect. They've been doing a good job of booking the show or ruining the show and not trying to bring in outside celebrities to book around. Outside of Bad Bunny and Logan Paul, there is no other celebrities on this show. They didn't even bring in a celebrity host because it's pandemic and everything. So they're definitely going to not let Bayley sell at home. They're going to have her do something, and I could see them finding a spot for her on either night two or night one to do her ding dong hello segment. But I think it'll definitely be probably on night one, because she's probably going to want to be on the same show as Sasha Banks and all that type of stuff, where the women are already in the main event and they can be the focal point of night one. And then you have the men that's focal point of night two. So let's go into the main event of this show. Roman Reigns, Edge, Daniel Bryan for the WWE Universal Championship. Now, as usual, when you talk about, some people will say you got 3 heels, but it seems like you have 2 for sure. Daniel Bryan is positioned as a babyface, even if people don't accept him as one, which gives us a higher opportunity of babyface losing. I'm going to go out on a limb. A lot of people have said the guy who beats Roman needs to be the guy. And I would say, you're right. The guy who beats Roman should be the guy. It should be the next guy, the next big star. But I think Edge is going to win the title. The reason why I think Edge is going to win the title is because I think that when you look for the future and who has the best opportunity to run as a top guy right now, Roman has had his run. Has he beaten everybody on the roster? No. He wrestled Jey Uso, then he went through that thing with Adam Pearce and Kevin Owens that just seemed to go on forever. And then he started the feud with Daniel Bryan. So there's still plenty of guys on the SmackDown roster for Roman Reigns to wrestle. So it's not like we've run out of opponents for him. He's been wrestling the same guys multiple times. That's kind of been the problem, and they've not been adding anybody new to these situations. But I still think they're going to freshen up the main event scene. Change it up. Roman can lose the title without losing. And I think that's the reason why it's a triple threat match. I think this match is a triple threat match because they don't want Roman to get beat. Daniel Bryan can get beat. And so we bring Daniel Bryan into this match, and then Edge beats Daniel Bryan. Edge wins back the title he never lost. And now we can start doing different things with Edge. Maybe we get the Edge Daniel Bryan one-on-one match. Then you get maybe, I don't know what they're going to do with Rey Mysterio. It's always an option. Big E will be an option. Big E is an option for Roman. And I would put Big E over Roman. But it would not be before WrestleMania of next year. So we got to build up a whole nother year for Big E. I think he deserves to get the crown at Mania, or SummerSlam, whatever. But I think we capped the Edge story, and we say that Daniel Bryan, this was his last one, and he went out on his shield, in the best match that he could possibly have, and he fell short, and Edge didn't lose that much of anything. Daniel Bryan did. Daniel Bryan lost. And I think he announces his retirement. I think this is where he kind of decides to hang it up. And he says, okay, I went out there, main event of WrestleMania. I fought as hard as I possibly could, and I lost. I said this might be my last one. In reality, it was my last one. I can't do this again. It's over. And it's weird to have Edge retire a guy who's younger than he is. But I think that might be the better move. And that's why I think, honestly, it should have been one-on-one. That way Edge could give Daniel Bryan his last match, and it is a legit match where they can go out there and go head up and have a really good, solid 20-minute match. And it can be fun and intriguing and have weight to it. But I don't see why, if Roman wins, we're stuck in the same situation that we were in before, where now we just constantly have to feed people to Roman. And he's going to be like this Bruno-like figure. It's like we have to freshen things up. And I think the point of Edge turning heel was to freshen things up. Now, is it possible, for instance, that we bring in new people? There's always the idea of the Adam Coles and the Finn Balor's, the guys who have already lost at TakeOver could, come in to fill these voids as main event guys. It's like, yeah, but we have to take time with that. There's going to be definitely some time needed. So I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to pick Edge. And I know that's probably going to be the least interesting option for most people. They either say Daniel Bryan or Roman Reigns. Daniel Bryan is on his way out. This is probably going to be his last WrestleMania. If Daniel Bryan wins the title, would I be mad? No. If Roman wins, would I be mad? I would be miffed because I'm saying like WrestleMania is the time when we start pivoting in story and we end a story. So somebody's story has to end here, you know, and either the story ends with Daniel Bryan having snuck his way into this match and conquered and won and did everything, or we end with Edge getting back where he never lost. But nothing ends really if Roman wins, you know, because then Edge has lost his title shot, Daniel Bryan has lost again, and we have nothing. You know, we just got Roman. Same situation we was in January. Same situation we was in November. We just got Roman. And it looks like nothing has changed. And nothing will change. But ultimately, I think you need to freshen up Roman's character as well. Roman's character could also do with a little bit of change. And being a chaser of the title is a fresh move. You know, he doesn't necessarily need to have the title in order to be the top guy. He can be the top guy and not be the champion. Okay. In fact, that kind of is a hallmark of being a top guy is you don't need a title. You know, and that's one of the reasons why I think Edge is going to have it. Because Roman doesn't need it and Daniel Bryan doesn't need it. You know, I think Edge needs it to cap his comeback, to show everybody that he did come back to be the workhorse. This is what he came back for, to be the workhorse of his brand. He's been saying that in various interviews and everything. He came back to be the workhorse. He didn't come back to do a part-time. He didn't come back to do the greatest hits. So I think the best way to prove that is to put the belt on Edge. And then let him go out there and work with Jey Uso again. Let him go out there and work with Nakamura. Let him go out there and work with Big E. Let him go out there and work with Ray again. Go out there and work with some guys. You know, let him get his reps in. This is what he wanted. Bring Jeff from Raw. Let him work there. You know, let Edge carry the belt for a little while. And then, you know, he could drop it back to Roman at SummerSlam or something like that. You know, whatever. But Roman doesn't need the belt to be the champion, to be the top guy, to be the head of the table, the tribal chief, all that type of stuff, to be acknowledged. He doesn't need to be the champion for all that. If anything, we could do something where Roman loses for a reason now. He's got to pivot and with somebody else. You know, maybe have Jey Uso cost him the title. You know, where, you know, he stepped on Jey Uso's moment. So now Jey is going to cost Roman the belt, and he was waiting. He was waiting for an opportune moment to screw over Roman. But I think with Edge, again, you get to create fresher opponents, fresher stories, fresher feuds. Let's just go with Edge. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Use the hashtag 3count commentaries to support the channel. Also, subscribe. Also, hit the bell for notifications. Also, hit the like button. And if you may, please go into the description and either put me on the payroll via subscribe star, $5 a month, or send me cash via the Cash App directly, whatever you find comfortable. Also, follow me on Twitter, but make sure you let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.